In the bitter chill of a February dawn, Gertrude Bell left behind the Bedouin camps of Tuneib, 20 miles south of Amman, where the hospitality of the Dajjah tribe had offered respite, and turned northeast toward the looming ridges of the Jebel Druze. The high volcanic plateau, home to the enigmatic Druze people, was the next destination on her journey. With her caravan in motion before sunrise, Bell remained careful not to overstay her welcome. Yet even as the day broke over the hills of the Jebel el-Alia, it brought not only beauty, but troubling news from the open plains below. Violence had passed through the land like a sandstorm. The Beni Hassan, tribal kin of her hosts, had been ravaged just the day before by rival tribes known for their lightning-fast desert raids.
The day before, while we had been journeying peacefully from Tuneib, 400 horsemen of the Sukur and the Howe Tat, leagued in evil, had swept these plains, surprised an outlying group of the Beni Hassan, and carried off the tents, together with 2,000 head of cattle.
In a land where no walls stand and no borders hold, wealth changes hands by the spear, and fortunes are written in hoofprints. What might seem like predation to outsiders was, to the Arab mind, both a livelihood and a deeply ceremonial act. The ghazu, the raid, stood as both economy and entertainment.
The truth is that the ghazu is the only industry the desert knows and the only game. As an industry, it seems to the commercial mind to be based on a false conception of the laws of supply and demand. But as a game, there is much to be said for it. The spirit of adventure finds full scope in it. You can picture the excitement of the night ride across the plain, the rush of the mares in the attack, the glorious and comparatively innocuous popping of rifles, and the exhilaration of knowing yourself a fine fellow as you turn homewards with the spoil.
But this game followed rules. Among Bedouin tribes, ghazu was governed by codes of restraint. Livestock could be taken, but women, children, and the elderly were never to be harmed. Killing was avoided unless absolutely necessary, and raiding during a truce was condemned. A well-executed raid brought honor without blood. Too much blood could ignite decades of tribal feud. Yet these unspoken limits were not universal.
This is the Arab view of the ghazu. The Druzes look at it otherwise. For them, it is red war. They do not play the game as it should be played. They go out to slay, and they spare no one. While they have a gram of powder in their flasks and strength to pull the trigger, they kill every man, woman, and child that they encounter.
Despite such violence, the desert remained a place where strange loyalties, rivalries, and even romances could spring to life. The independence of Arab women and the flexible marital customs between tribes opened the way to both tragedy and union. As Bell and her escort Gablan discussed, even enemies could become lovers.
Knowing the independence of Arab women and the freedom with which marriages are contracted between different tribes of equal birth, I saw many romantic possibilities of mingled love and hatred between the Montagues and the Capulets. Lo, on a sudden I loved her, says Antara, though I had slain her kin. Gablan replied that these difficult situations did indeed occur, and ended sometimes in a tragedy, but if the lovers would be content to wait, some compromise could be arrived at, or they might be able to marry during one of the brief but oft-recurring intervals of truce.
As they journeyed northward, Bell approached the ruins of al-Jimal in northern Jordan. The black basalt walls stood stark against the desert sky, nearly intact from afar. Within, the ruins whispered of long-forgotten empires. Bell spent the final hour of daylight among Nabataean tombs, her mind turning to the caravan kingdoms that once ruled these plateaus. The Nabataeans, a Semitic people distinct from Arabs though closely related, had built a powerful kingdom from Petra, northward through southern Syria. They controlled trade in spices and incense, spoke a dialect of Aramaic, and left behind inscriptions that became the bridge between Aramaic and Arabic scripts. Pagan in religion, later Hellenized and eventually Christianized, their kingdom was annexed by Rome in the 2nd century, but their cultural legacy lingered for centuries.
So far as can be said with any certainty, Nabataean inscriptions and tombs are the oldest monuments that have been discovered in the district. They are followed by many important remains of pagan Rome, but the really flourishing period seems to have been the Christian. After the Mohammedan invasion, which put an end to the prosperity of the Horan uplands, few of the villages were re-inhabited. And when the Druzes came about 150 years ago, they found no settled population.
With the Druze border ahead, Bell's Bedouin guide's duty was nearing its end, and the risks of remaining, among uncertain tribal loyalties, grew too great. Bell, who had grown fond of his companionship, agreed to his departure and thanked him with 3 French gold coins. The Napoleon d'Or was minted under Bonaparte's empire and had, over the 19th century, become one of the few universally accepted forms of hard currency across the Middle East. In Ottoman lands like Jordan and Syria, where paper currency held little value in rural trade, such gold coins remained trusted tender.
He wished to ask me whether he might not return to Tuneib. One of the Arabs would guide us next day to the first Druze village, and Gablan would as soon come no nearer to the mountain. I agreed readily. Indeed, it was a relief not to have his safety on my conscience. He received 3 Napoleons for his trouble and a warm letter of thanks to deliver to Fela ul-Isa, and we parted with many assurances that if God willed, we would travel together again.
From here, she entered Druze territory, where ancient towns, once built with precision and pride, lay in haunted disarray. Yet among the Druzes, she encountered a people alive with intellect, pride, and searching curiosity. In contrast to Arab etiquette, which prized reserve, the Druzes probed eagerly. One young guide peppered her with questions.
He had from me all my story, whence I came and whither I was going, who were my friends in the Jebel Druze and what my father's name. Very different this from the custom of the Arabs, with whom it is an essential point of good breeding never to demand more than the stranger sees fit to impart. Yet I rejoiced to find myself once more among the trenchant wits and the searching, coal-blackened eyes of the mountain, where every question calls for a quick retort or a brisk parry.
In the Druze village of al-Ruman, she met Sheikh Muhammad el-Atrash, patriarch of the Turshan, one of the most influential Druze families in the Jebel. Their name would soon become legendary across Syria. Just 2 decades after Bell's visit, Sultan al-Atrash, a relative of Muhammad, would lead the Druze revolt of 1925 against French colonial rule in the Levant. That revolt would spark a broader Great Syrian Revolt, uniting Druze, Sunni, Christian, and nationalist forces in a rare moment of pan-Syrian resistance. Later, as she continued toward Salkad, Bell fell into deep discussion with a Druze scribe named Saleh, whose fascination with the West led to one of the most animated exchanges of her journey.
He was vastly entertained at the English rule that the father should pay a man for marrying his daughter. So he interpreted the habit of giving her a marriage portion, and we laughed together over the absurdity of the arrangement. He was anxious to know Western views as to the creation of the world and the origin of matter, and I obliged him with certain heterodox opinions, on which he seized with far greater lucidity than that with which they were offered.
By the time she glimpsed Salkad, perched high in the Jebel Druze with its black citadel walls rising over the frozen fields, Bell had entered a new physical and cultural terrain. Here, the outlines of ancient faiths, tribal codes, and fractured dynasties mingled with the rugged optimism of a people determined to endure.